Oh, I'm so glad this is not my case. What I am about to do is use my particular set of skills to break down this lawsuit between Aubrey, Drake, Graham, and UMG. Well, why is that your attorney? Why'd you go find a black attorney? And somebody will say, well, why are you making it about race? Because I'm not making it about race. People who are white supremacists are making it about. Oh, I'm so glad this is not my case. I have never seen a complaint start off in the introduction with a quote. Never seen. Oh, I'm so glad this is not my case. And I'm hoping that the attorney said, man, bruh, you don't need to do this. Oh, I'm so glad this is not my case. What up, dog? So, welcome to the first episode of the Court of Public Opinion. Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. I had no plans to shoot this while I was out on the road, vacationing or what have you. But then Aubrey went and did something. I was like, I got to talk about this. So right now, if you hear anything like bunch of noise from outside, call to prayer or what have you, it is what it is. I'm just going to have to keep rolling. You hear some bumping, some kids running around. Where it is what it is. So I want to break down to you what this podcast is. It's a different type of podcast where we don't just hit on the hot topics and then move on. Instead, we're doing hot topics, cold topics. It's not a surface level thing. We're doing a deep dive with myself and periodically what I like to call a jury of geniuses, experts, and regular folks. What I see out here a lot of times are podcasts that really just focus on celebrities. And that's cool, especially, for somebody like me who's been practicing entertainment law for like ever. But there are other people who have opinions and ideas and other ways of executing and doing things. I want to speak to those people. I want to have interactions with those people, and I want to bring that to you and not just talk about things, but also provide solutions and to give you information that you can use in your everyday life so you can live better, so you can overcome a lot of things that Black folk and everybody else may need to overcome who happen to be allied with us in the struggle against, well, you know what. And so that being said, ironically, this is why I did not think my first episode would be about something like this. By now, everyone has probably heard Not Like Us. Everyone knows about the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Y'all know that. I'm not about to rehash that. I have no problem criticizing other attorneys. I think there's too much fucking professional, what you call that? But what I am about to do is use my particular set of skills to break down this lawsuit between Aubrey, Drake, Graham, and UMG recordings. If you don't know about me, among other things, I have been practicing entertainment law for, I don't lost some years in there, but it's over 20 years, And whenever I see something like this and I watch, the podcast that I watch, and I see them break it down, there's always a little something missing because this is not what they do, And I want to give you that. Typically, people get an 81-page lawsuit. And what they do is they go through and they pick out, oh, let me check this out. Let me check that out. Let me check that out. It's different from me because I'm an expert at this. This is what I do. So when I go in and I'm looking at this, I'm looking at things that people are not even thinking about because they haven't been trained to think about it. It's not their area of expertise. They don't have the experience or what have you. I don't fault them for that. But this is something that I know I can contribute that will give, whether it's an artist, whether it's an everyday person looking to get into business, whether it's entertainment or what have you, it will give them insight into how disputes are handled. It will give you insight into strategy. It will give you insight into choosing an attorney. And overall, man, I was reading this joint. I could not stop laughing. Now, I am not a plaintiff in this. I am not a defendant in this. So it can be, very funny for me. But for Drake, it's not funny. And I get that. That being said, reading it, this shit was hilarious. So as I was looking at it, and I was looking at it for my own enjoyment, I was like, wait a second, D, you need to break this down and interject all the knowledge that you have from entertainment and business and what have you, and just give it to the people and give them to them straight. If somebody would have told me, I think everybody has a Drake story. My Drake story, Drake don't know about my Drake story. Why? Because I'll tell you and you'll see. So if somebody would have told me years ago that going to this party that Marcellus Wiley used to throw this party, did he throw it or did he promote it? And I'm gonna get into the complaint, but I got stories and shit. Let me get it off. Marcellus Wiley used to throw this party. I forgot what it was called. I don't even know if he still does it. And I can't remember if it was sponsored with him and a tailor for the NFL. I don't know. But when this party happened, Marcellus would be like this. He would say, look, this is the time to get to this party. If you come after this time, I don't care who you are. I can't get you in because the fire department is going to be here monitoring. And so I think I got there probably about 10, something like that. And my boy, my homie that I knew, he came up from Orange County. He came and he brought some dudes from Canada who I became cool with. We all became boys. We're hanging out or what have you. But it was the type of party where me and my ex at the time, we went to the party. I didn't see her the rest of the night. It's too much going on for a couple to be like, we're about to stay here like this and make the rounds in the party and do our Hollywood thing. No, I didn't see her. Not only did I not see her, I did not see them. Because it's a party. It's pretty much it's not a NFL party, but it was kind of it was a lot of people from the NFL because I did meet a lot of NFL players and agents and what have you, but there's like all types of athletes, just folk. So at this party, when I finally caught up with my boys later at night, that's a whole nother thing because one of them had met somebody that I knew. They was on the dance floor. And this is very funny. So I'm just going to stop it. And so, and they was like, connected. So when I saw her, I was like, hey, I saw you connected with my boy. This is so funny. And she was like, yeah, he was trying to be, a little too on me or whatever. I had to get away from him. I was like, oh, okay. Now she don't know that I know he went home with her. I was like, I don't know why she lying to me. And I knew this because my other boy told me, yeah, I had to go pick him up from her house. Anyway, back to the story. Back to the Drake story. That's an aside. Back to the Drake story. So, with the Drake story, later I see my boys and they're like, yo, it was this dude, man, we wanted you to meet. I was like, oh, who is he? It's like, oh, it's this rapper from Toronto. When I tell you in this party, probably saw, because I knew for some reason, that I know who they were talking about. I want to say I knew who they were talking about only because I passed the dude when they described him or what. I don't know. I did, but I'm not sure. But whatever the case, what I can tell you is I remember Drake rapping in one of his songs about not being known and then not everybody knows you. I can imagine given the amount of fame that he has, or at least he accumulated even in that short period of time, because it was like a year difference and then he was everywhere. That's gotta be a lot. Because when I tell you, ain't nobody know. Matter of fact, that's how I knew. Because I saw them at one point and I saw them standing together. And I just walked past. Well, I tell you, with no girls, there was no hanger-ons, with no entourage, none of that. It is a very big change. And if somebody would have told me that this dude that I saw hanging out with my boys that wasn't paying no attention to, give it some years. The first episode of your own pod, because I've done pods, in the past, and you probably seen some of that. And shouts out to Cherie for being one of the first people to recognize that, hey, you should join this pod with me. I think you'd be pretty good. I do appreciate her seeing me like that. If somebody would have told me it's going to be about him, hell, I would have went over there. But that being said, it is about to be about him. Now, when I get a complaint, when I see a complaint, especially these Hollywood, I'm getting into it. If you didn't follow that, we're into it now. When I follow these Hollywood complaints, right? Any complaint, first thing I do is I go all the way to the end and I look to see who are the attorneys. What firms do they work for, especially if it's a Black person? And the reason that I do that is that oftentimes when you have Black celebrities, and a lot of times the people that they choose to manage their business, such as this, are not Black. And I do have a problem with that. And because I'm like, you have a lot of Black celebs running around telling, kids, oh, you can do this, you be what you want to be. But I'm like, who you go do it for? Because if your own people that know you, that you grew up with, who come from the same place that you come from, don't want to hire you, who the hell you gonna work for? Honestly, it's one of the things that I had a interaction with someone on, was that IG. I saw a comment, I think it was by Amanda Seales, who I do respect, and I think more people should support Amanda Seales and the work that she does, because I can say this, that woman right there, she be fighting against all the isms. White supremacy, it's not. White supremacy is an ist. You get all the oppressive systems. But when it comes to like stuff like this, what I see with Black celebrities are a lot of excuses. And I saw a comment that I was like, I'm not feeling this comment, where someone had raised an issue about, well, why don't we see Black celebrities have, Black people in their service staff, like their attorneys, their accountants. And Amanda brought up a point, and it's not a bad point, where she's like, well, sometimes, you end up getting burned by, did she say this? It was more so about you're just trying to find somebody you can trust. Now, I have not been a celebrity like Amanda Seales, and I get where she's coming from, where it's like, oh, I'll just be trying to find somebody I can trust. But my thing is, find somebody Black you can trust. There's a lot of Black folk out here that are trustworthy. We don't have no problem being trusted. And so when I see a complaint like this, and I had the same criticism with Colin Kaepernick about, why is that your attorney? Why don't you go find a Black attorney? And I supported Cap. Stop fucking with the NFL and what have you. I was like, on team, but I'm not going to ignore, blind spots. So the first thing that I do when I get a complaint is I go and look like, okay, who is the person who is the lead attorney on this, who's second chair, and more importantly, who's the firm? And how many Black people, how many women, how many non-white males do they have as partners? Now, this firm, I'm going to butcher the name. I know this. So it's Wilkie Farr Gallagher LLP. And I see that Ann Houghton Larson, and I think she might be second chair, because I see that there's a Michael J. Gottlieb and a Marilyn C. Governor Ski. Yeah, those are the attorneys. I did not check, and let me see. I did not check to see, if they were Black. What I did do is I went through to see, because what I'm concerned about, I was like, how many Black partners you got? And I will say, I couldn't see the percentage, because honestly, I didn't feel like doing all that. I won't get into this, right? But I did see enough faces of color where I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see. Now let me look, since I'm here, before I get started with this, let me look and see who's handling this. Because somebody like Drake, I feel like you got a responsibility to Michael J. Gottlieb. Oh, yeah, there comes up Michael J. Gottlieb, Drake. Let me see. And I'm always, okay, he's a white dude. Let me see who else we got handle this. Maryland C. Governor C. And somebody would say, well, why are you making it about race? Because I'm not making it about race. People who are white supremacists are making it about race. So yeah, I see Maryland. Maryland is white. And let me see, M. and Houghton. And this will have, from some of the things that I read, this will have some bearing on some of my critiques without knowing anything about their experience with hip hop or what have you. Okay, and Houghton Larson is also white. And so what I see right here, we got all white team handling a lawsuit that it's against UMG, but this is a lawsuit that involves hip hop. Okay. Now the firm itself though does have I want to say a substantial, or at least they have an amount of partners and associates where I'm like, okay, all right. I don't feel a way about it. Now, do I think he should have found a black firm to handle this? Yes, I do. I think it would have been the smart move. I think the advice would have been, well, I'll get into that as I get into the lawsuit. So for the attorneys, bear with me because I'm trying to do this for people who may not be familiar with, lawsuits like this or lawsuits in general. I'm going to put the link because I got this from courthousenews.com. Now, if this is not the actual complaint, I've checked. This is the one that I could find without actually going to the court or what have you. But let me quickly, because I could use Scribd to find it, but let me see. No, I don't feel like doing that. Hold up, what we got here? No, those are all the petition. That's something different. I'm not doing the petition. I'm not interested in that. So I am just doing this one with Courthouse News. So I'm going to work with this. If this is the wrong complaint or something changed, apologies to all parties involved. This is the complaint that I have because with the internet, you got to be careful. You just don't know. So I've checked this 3 times. I'm going to check this one more time to make sure. See, this is good journalism. You need more than one source, right? All these are not what I'm looking for. Hold up, I need to be more specific. There we go. Okay, there we go. Let me let's see. And the way I would check this to make sure this is the correct filing, I would look at the first few pages. And if they're okay, they are the same. And so that's a third source with the same caption. And the caption is basically what you'll see is Aubrey Drake Graham plaintiff versus UMG Recordings defendant. And it's very simple. And this is a United States District Court, the Southern District of New York. That's a federal case. So you got federal cases, you got state cases, federal law, state law. With federal law, you tend to, like, why would somebody file federal? Well, you tend to have a more diverse jury pool when it comes to federal. And so there is a belief that you can get a fair trial. It may depend on the law under which you're suing. We shall see. That being said, I'm about to get into this. So there is a jury trial demand, which makes sense because Drake is a celebrity. Doesn't matter who you stick up there. People are going to, as Jamie Foxx say, they'll feel something from that mist of the person who's the celebrity, where they may not have nothing against Kendrick. There may be Kendrick fans, but that don't mean that they don't want to take money from Universal and give it to Drake. I'm not going to, at this point, get into why Drake is or is not doing this. This will come out as we go through the complaint. And so now here we go. So I have never seen a complaint start off in the introduction with a quote. Never seen that. But this is, so the first line is this: plaintiff Aubrey Drake Graham, through his attorneys, brings this complaint against defendant UMG Recordings, Inc. Okay, that's normal. Now, when we get to this introduction, A single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, and while it takes years to build a reputation, it can be ruined in 5 minutes. Sir Lucian Grange, Chief Executive Officer of UMG, March 25th, 2024. Now, I don't know where he says this, but that is, that is very interesting. And I am fine with that. Some attorneys might think that's not professional, but I will give props to Michael and I gotta remember the names. It was Michael, who was the other person? The team. Yeah, but I think Michael is first chair. So, and I'll get to the other team. I remember their last names more than their first names because they have such trouble. But here is, now after the introduction, you go into, when you design a complaint, when you draft a complaint, you go into like writing your story, right? And this is the first story that the judge who will oversee the case, who's going to rule on your objections, your motions, your motions for dismissal, procedures, or what have you. And so this is your opportunity to tell not only that judge the story, the potential jury pool, and to let UMG know, like, this is how this shit is about to go if y'all don't just do whatever it is that Drake wants them to do. So, paragraph 1. In the middle of the night on May 7th, 2024, an armed group of assailants drove up to the Toronto house in which Drake and his family resided. Drake was inside. The car stopped in front of the residence and someone yelled, "Fuck Drake." And at least one gunman began to open fire. One bullet went through the security gate and hit Drake's front door. Another bullet struck and wounded a security guard who was one of Drake's friends. I'm going to tell you, that is, I'm glad that the guy who got struck by the bullet, who got shot, is alive. So that is a good way to start this complaint off. And I don't think this is done. I don't think this is done to like, oh, let me make them. I don't think it's done out of strategy. I think it's done because that shit right there, you got to think, somebody who is like there to protect you and that's your friend that you employ. And when they get shot, that's real. This part right here, I don't think is funny at all. I think this is real. And I get where the writer who drafted this, as well as the plaintiff, is coming from on that. While the car drove away, Drake and others in the house summoned for help for the security guard and did everything possible to keep him alive. During the nearly 30 minutes it took for the ambulance to arrive, Drake and others labored to keep him alive by applying pressure to the gun wounds with towels. Blood was everywhere. You just chilling at home. Somebody pull up, shoot your boy, and pull off. So, and they say, fuck you, so you know it ain't about him. After the security guard arrived at the hospital, surgeons worked quickly to remove the bullet, stop the bleeding, and save his life. Though it took days for his condition to stabilize, thankfully, the security guard survived. Yeah, but he's still been shot. The very next day, May 8th, 2024, a different intruder used his bare hands to dig a hole under the security fence surrounding Drake's Toronto home. He managed to dig deep enough to squeeze through and enter Drake's property. Fortunately, Drake's home security guards caught him before he was able to cause any harm. Although the trespasser managed to yell racist slurs and threats against Drake before being escorted off the property. On May 9th, same year, I'm going to stop saying the year. The very next day, another break-in attempt happened. In the 2 decades leading up to May of 2024, although Drake was constantly in the public eye, nothing remotely like these events have ever happened to him or his family. I watched the podcast. I don't know if it's true. And this was, like I said, it's on Joe Budden's podcast. Was it Ice? Or was it Joe Budden? I can't remember who. I think it was said, though, that someone has tried to break in before. And that's where in complaints you have to, well, not only complaints, contracts, whatever happens, you have to be cognizant of the words that are being used. They didn't say in this complaint, nothing like this ever happened. Well, they didn't say this never happened before. They said nothing like these events had ever happened before, which means something happened before, but not like this. And not like this can mean nobody shot, nobody dug under the fence and tried to get in. This is typically the problem, and not with Drake, but in this complaint. What I would call, when I used to watch TMZ, I felt TMZ on some things that they would say where a celebrity will try to spin a story where, and people do this all the time, where it's like, say you report, I saw you rob this bank wearing a red shirt. They would say, no, you didn't. You lying. You lying. That's not accurate. You ain't see that. You ain't see that. When in fact, what they should say is, no, I was wearing a blue shirt. That ain't the important part. But I get the line being here. I get that. That being said, I don't think this is the first time someone has attempted to enter his home, maybe not in that way, but I get it for the complaint. But the events were not coincidental. They immediately followed and were approximately caused by UMG's action leading up to and on May 4th, 2024. UMG is the world's largest music company and also the music company that has represented Drake for more than a decade. I like the use of that word. They've represented Drake. Yeah. Because there's framing something there where it's like, typically that's not how you phrase that. Like, they're your representative. They're his record company. I don't know. Something about that makes it seem like he's kind of positioning himself to say, you work for me. Like, you're my you're like my representative, like my manager. You're not my business partner. You're like, you don't have power over me. I could be wrong and reading more into it than I should, but that's what I get from it. Yet on May 4th, UMG approved, published, and launched a campaign to create a viral hit out of a rap track that falsely accuses Drake of being a pedophile and calls for violent retribution against him. I have heard the songs. Let me continue. I can't remember lyrics calling for. Let me continue. Even though UMG enriched itself and its shareholders by exploiting Drake's music for years and knew that the salacious allegations against Drake were false, UMG chose corporate greed over the safety and well-being of its artists. Okay, you may have heard that term exploit and think that that's a bad term. That's actually not a bad term. I was surprised when I started reading contracts and practicing law that the term exploit is often used in music contracts. I can't remember, sometimes in other type of content. It's also there, sometimes in other type of content. So it's just a term of the industry, nothing big there. Now, in regards to UMG choosing corporate greed over the safety and well-being of artists, before I give my opinion on that, I'm curious to see how the rest of this unfolds and what Drake has to say. I'm going to do this in parts because I see now this 81 pages. That's a lot of pages, but it's worth going through. So this is going to be part one, and I'm going to go, and then I'll come back. I might be in a different outfit, in a different secret location, but getting back to the complaint. Hey, wait, let me make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay. In controversy, UMG saw an opportunity, seized it, and continued to fan the flames even after learning of the incitement to violence on May 7th and 8th, along with the unrelenting vitriol towards Drake that has followed. Damn, I want to stop right there. If I'm on the jury, I would say that that's true. Now, whether or not it's actionable, right? That's a different thing. So that being said, yes, given that you have two artists, your artists, there was a shooting, UMG could have, of course they could have and should have intervened. But it doesn't mean that that's actionable. It doesn't mean that they had an obligation to. When I say should have, I am literally talking about the name of this podcast, Court of Public Opinion. It doesn't mean that they have a legal obligation within the courts, in the court of law. But opinion-wise, like how we feel, the zeitgeist, they probably should have said, stop. Both of y'all, stop. We ain't releasing nothing else. We pulling it. Somebody got shot. The song in question is, we're on paragraph 7, Not Like Us, the recording. Written and performed by Kendrick Lamar Duckworth. I did not know his last name was Duckworth. Professionally known as Kendrick Lamar. The recording was intended to convey the specific, unmistakable, and false factual allegation that Drake is a criminal pedophile. So this is where I stopped and said, wait a second, I got to talk to y'all about this. Man. Because when I read that, I was like, why are you bringing that up again? You're bringing it up now. So if Drake comes into my office, let me continue. I'm going to burst in laughter again. I know this is not funny to the person being called a pedophile. Because I don't hurt. Pedophilia is not funny. It's not. To suggest that the public should resort to vigilante justice in response, I'm still laughing about the other thing, not that. Because now this reminds me, and I don't know if y'all remember, do y'all remember when certain people of a political party, I think the Republican Party, were putting out these false conspiracy theories that the Democrats were running a pedophile pizza ring and people were going, well, not people. I remember one. Went up into the pizza place talking with a gun, talking about where the kids. This reminded me of that. Okay. Let's get back to it. This is where I had to stop, so I'm going to laugh a bit more. The recording is defamatory because its lyrics, its album image, and its video all advance the false and malicious narrative that Drake is a pedophile. Now, what I do remember from practice, just overall when it comes to defamation, because I also heard on that same podcast somebody say, oh, defamation is hard to prove. No, it depends. Defamation is not hard to prove, even when you're a celebrity, depending on what was said. So I have to check something really quick before I say this, because I want to make sure I get it. I want it to be accurate at all times on the court of public opinion. I'm waiting. Give me a moment. Okay. So, by the way, I love Chat GPT because it makes it easy for me to find the things that I already know. In the case of Drake, this would be defamation per se. Okay. Now, defamation per se refers to false statements that are so inherently harmful that the plaintiff does not need to prove actual damages. In these cases, the law presumes that the harm has occurred due to the nature of the statement itself. Under common law, certain types of statements automatically qualify as defamation per se. Allegations of a crime, which pedophilia would be, or acting on it, or being a pedophile. Accusations of immoral behavior, claims that someone's involved in morally repugnant conduct. Pedophilia would actually qualify. Statements harming professional reputation. Allegations of a loathsome disease that did not happen. Let's see what else. Let's see. No. Yes. And also asks, does calling someone a pedophile count as defamation per se? I already knew it does. But I just want to be accurate. Yes, it alleges a serious crime. It damages reputation. It affects professional and social standing. So there you are. And even if you are a celebrity, it doesn't mean that people can just say whatever about you. Now, there's context to all this. If it's satire and people don't believe, there are certain defenses to defamation. Truth is one. Truth is a defense. But outside of truth, if it's something that no one would believe, that may also serve as a defense. Now, a lot of lawyers won't tell you this. The difference between good lawyers and great lawyers. Another level, that other level, we check everything, even the things you already think you know. Because lawyers fuck up because they think they know all the law. You don't. Shit is always changing. Gotta remember that. So let me see. I want to check. I want to need to make sure that satire or disbelief or outlandishness is a defense. A statement. A defense. And though I love chat, I would check this to get two other sources. Yes. And that's the thing. In law, we go by a reasonable person standard. Would the reasonable person believe that Drake is a pedophile based on this song? If the answer is yes, then we are in that area of, hey, you might have a claim. So that being said, getting back to where we were, I'm not gonna read it again because it's gonna make me laugh. I'm gonna pick up in the next sentence. The recording is defamatory because its lyrics, its album image, the image, and its music video, the video, all advance the false and malicious narrative that Drake is a pedophile. The lyrics repeatedly accuse Drake of engaging in criminal acts, including by calling him a certified pedophile. Now, that's so when you are a certified pedophile, if I was arguing this on behalf of Drake, I would say the term certified pedophile implies that, hey, I've been convicted of some shit. And I'm going to be loose with this. I'm not going to act like I'm in court. This is public opinion. I've been convicted of some shit. If I'm on Kendrick's side, I'm going to argue certified is a street term. Nobody believes that he was convicted. It's just a term of gravitas. It's a term that's used as poetic license, but it shouldn't be taken literally. So a certified pedophile and a predator. Now, predator, that may not be defamation per se. No legal conviction. Different ways to take that, different types of predators. There was a movie about the predator. Hell, Ice Cube had a album called The Predator. So, but this line, who needs to be placed on the neighborhood watch list? Well, and so this is the line. I need to read that again. The lyrics repeatedly accuse Drake of engaging in criminal acts, including by calling him a certified pedophile and a predator who needs to be placed on neighborhood watch. Damn. So the neighborhood watch part does add to the credibility of the argument that you're saying that, hey, this dude has been convicted of being a pedophile and he should be on the neighborhood watch list. All right. So now, taking those lyrics, we are in the territory where this is a claim that has legs. If this is a claim where it's like, oh, this could go. So here we go. The image was designed to reinforce, in fact, reinforces the accusation by depicting Drake's actual Toronto house covered in the icons that are known to be used by law enforcement, parentheses, as well as public safety applications like Citizen, parentheses, to identify child sex offenders' residences online. The video bolsters the same message by, for example, showing images associated with sex trafficking and juxtaposing the game of hopscotch with lyrics accusing Drake of trying to strike a chord. It was probably a minor. What? See, for me, I will be like, why are you doing this? I'm going to continue because there's something that I need to say. Now, the format of the complaint itself, it's not a bad format. I need to check because I think this is Times Roman. And I don't see pleading paper or what have you. So it looks a little it just looks a little normal. Pleading paper I like the way pleading paper looks. It adds a artistic flair to the complaint. These two lines going down. You can put your firm on the side, which I think that would have been a nice touch. Or possibly the complaints that I'm seeing just don't contain it. But I thought pleading paper would have been a good touch. But maybe it did have it and it got deleted. I'm not really sure. But I don't necessarily love Times Roman, but I need to check because I can't remember in federal. Let me see. In federal court, you may only be able to use Times Roman. If federal court, can you use a different font than Times Roman in pleadings? Yes. Oh, you can use another font. Oh, local rules. Oh, okay. So I know some of this is gonna be boring for y'all, but you have federal rules, then you have local rules. Like local courts have their own rules, like how the judges may want to see where we at. United States District Court, Southern District. So let's see here in the Southern District. Oh, what the rules are. And the reason that I get into this is that this is important because these are the attorneys that you chose. And I've seen a lot in this complaint that are like, sure that any font uses legible, only use. Yeah, you can use anything. I wouldn't have gone with Times Roman on this. Yeah, I just wouldn't have done it. I don't like the look of it. It's just not my jam. I just don't like the look of it. It's not my jam. So there we are. And so I don't love the format of the complaint, but sometimes like they say, like in hip hop, it ain't, you ain't got to be the best lyricist to, file the, to be, a really good rapper, best rapper or what have you. You're just not the best lyricist. And in this case with, the complaint, I always call stuff like this disposable prose. Years from now, maybe with the Drake complaint, people might read this because the way that it's written. I like the phrasing of a lot of things in here. I just don't like the aesthetics of it. It's like, why don't you go with Ariel or something like that? Anyway, paragraph 8. The lawsuit is not about the artists who created Not Like Us. All right, now we can get to the thing I want to get to. Because the way that I think this went down is, and I do not know, I was not in this room, but I have been in rooms like this. I have received calls like this. I have been a part of situations like this where somebody is pissed and they come to me and they're like, do something about this shit. This nigga running around here, he calling me a pedophile. They promoting this shit. I'm sick of it. And I felt like when I first started reading this complaint, that this was a complaint meant to, would satiate be the good real word that you can use here? Pacify? To like, well, let's do something because he mad and we got to get him unmad. We got to make him feel a certain way. And we go come hard. But this is a bit of strategy. They know, Drake knows, if you sue Kendrick Lamar, nigga, come on now. Come on. They go, not only will we clown you so bad, it's over. It's over. That's a boycott. That's boycott word. Motherfuckers will stop listening. Because it's, you can't, not him. There's certain people, me and my ex used to have this joke back when Barack was president, where we were like, this is so terrible. We were like, who could Michelle Obama slap the shit out of? And we don't even question her. We just be like, what they do to her? In this case, you can't sue Kendrick. You cannot sue Kendrick. And I suspect, given who Drake has handling this lawsuit, that did not come from him. I mean, from them. Given who is handling this lawsuit, I do not know their proclivities. when it comes to hip hop. I don't know how deep that goes or what have you, but I suspect it don't go deep like mine go, because it don't. It ain't no way possible. It ain't no way possible, because I grew up in it, because it happened in my neighborhood. Now, unless these folk grew up in Detroit, not outside, inside. If they grew up there, maybe. But it's different. It's different. It's different for Black people. We know that it's different. I'm gonna say no. It's different for Black and brown people. It's different. We know this shit better than anybody, because it's here. It's our soul. It's different. So that being said, I think Drake told them, don't do that. Don't, because typically with attorneys, when you come to us, it's like, I'm going hard. I'm going at everybody. But I'm going to explain to you, like, look, these are the consequences of what we're doing. And don't get me wrong. It depends on the client. If I have a client who's like, I want you to go after everybody, and they have that, mentality, like, I'll let the bridges that I burn like the sky so I can find my way home. If they got that type of mentality, then either you decide as an attorney, I'm gonna take that case and I'm gonna go with them, or I'm not. Because if you show me an asshole attorney who wants some bullshit, I'm gonna show you a client behind it. Attorneys only do what the clients want them to do, right? You can try to explain, and if they don't, then they leave the case and they say, I'm going to withdraw from this case, or they're not going to take the case. But if they take the case and you see a bunch of bullshit happening, then it's not just the attorney. It's the attorney and the client. And don't get me wrong, you have situations where somebody's kind of chill or what have you, and the attorney's pushing them to do this and that, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to listen to the attorney. Well, when you acquiesce, it's the same thing to me, because it's the same damn result. In this case, though, I would suspect that Drake said this. I could be wrong, but I think Drake told them, do not sue Kendrick. I think it was an option on the table, and he said, no, don't do that. So here we go. But I like that they said this lawsuit is not about the artists who created Not Like Us. I probably would have just said this ain't about Kendrick Lamar. Not, with that type of, vernacular, but I would have said his name, but sure. Because I'm not sure. Let me go up. When they mention Kendrick, they mention him. I don't know if they do a hereinafter he's going to be referred to as K. Dot. That was this chick. No, they just said professionally known as Kendrick Lamar. They don't say if they're going to call him. They should just call. I might even say this. No, I'm trying to make this. From his attorney, like, it's not about K. Dot. If you're pissed, hey, do that. But, I'm so glad this is not my case. Okay. It is instead entirely about UMG, the music company that decided to publish, promote, exploit, and monetize allegations that it understood were not only false, but dangerous. It's a good line. Good line. Let me get these names right, because I want to give everybody their credit. Because Michael, Marilyn, and Annie. Michael, Marilyn, and Annie. Oh, that's MMA. I'm just calling them MMA. There we go. I ain't got time to be doing all that. Okay, let me get back to paragraph 8. All right. As UMG knows and has known at all relevant times, the recording, image, and video allegations are unequivocally false. Drake is not a pedophile. It is good. Now, if I had been called a pedophile, I would want it somewhere on record that I am not a pedophile. I would like that on record. The problem is, once you put something like this out here, that's always going to be out here. Now, people are not going to always read this lawsuit, but they might. I don't know. But I'm not the nigga being called a pedophile. So it's easy for me to say, like, man, fuck this. Why are you putting this back out here? But I do feel like, why are you putting this back? And I'm hoping that the attorney said, man, bruh, you don't need to do this. I'm hoping they tried to calm him down, because that's what I would have did. But that being said, if if the suit can be taken on its face, if that's the reason why Drake filed this. Now, if he filed this because he's trying to get out of his deal with UMG, if he filed this to try to ensure that the song is not performed at the Super Bowl, that's a different matter. But if the lawsuit is about what the lawsuit says on its face that it is, it's like, what are you doing? All right. Drake has never engaged in any acts that would require he be placed on neighborhood watch. Now, see, with this is fun because it's all like, there's no acts that will require me to be placed on neighborhood watch, but there are acts, but they will put you on neighborhood watch. Of course. But I get it. I do. I get it. I'm freaky. I get it. That's what it says. That won't require me to be placed on neighborhood watch. All right. There we go. Drake has never been charged with or convicted of any criminal acts whatsoever. Now, you do want that. You want a client who's never been charged with a crime. That's like, oh, that's what's up. Because when it comes to defamation per se, saying that I committed not only a crime, but one of repugnant moral character, when I've never been charged with, convicted of, I've never even been charged, that's really good for your case. It is. Now, notwithstanding its knowledge that the allegations are fabricated, starting in May of 2024, UMG waged an unrelenting campaign to spread the recording, image, and video, together the defamatory material. Now, what you want to do whenever you draft a complaint is, one, now I will, okay, so let me say this. I have no problem criticizing other attorneys. I think there's too much fucking professional, what you call that, protectionism. You have police, protecting police, you name it, rappers protecting rappers, where it's like, oh, this dude running around here doing XYZ, supporting Trump. I ain't gonna say nothing. So, no, we still cool. We do music together. No, I ain't like that. I'm not like that. If I see some shit, I don't care whether it's a writer, podcaster, lawyer, business person, and I'm like, no, that's fucked up. I'm gonna say that's fucked up. I am not protecting nobody. I'm just putting it out. I'm putting it out here. So when it comes to this, recording, image, and video, together the defamatory material, what you want to do is you constantly want to reinforce, whether it's the jury, the judge, or the public, you want to reinforce that this stuff is defamatory. So from this point on, they're going to be able to reinforce that Drake has been defamed by referring to Kendrick Lamar's recording, the images, and the video. They no longer have to say that. And that's smart and good lawyering. Now, one thing I'm not sure if I would have done, UMG would have become the defendant. And I would have left it at that. It's tough because I get what they were trying to do here, because you want to associate UMG as a group that is out here putting Drake's name through the mud in order to make money. And you want the brand name of UMG to be there as you do it. You want them to be associated with they ain't shit. They took this man's name, they put it out there that he was a pedophile. They knew it wasn't true. His boy got shot. They didn't care. But oftentimes, what you want to do in a complaint is you want to humanize your client. So even if your client is a company, you want to call them UMG. Like, say if UMG was suing Drake, you want to call them UMG. With Drake, you want to call him the defendant. You want to take away their name, their identity, their humanity. So when somebody rules against them, they don't feel anything. They just feel like this is the defendant. In this case, they elected to keep UMG in. There could be, and that could be a strategy in regards to taking away the goodwill. And goodwill, if you don't know, is basically over years of just living, right? There are people who probably know you, they know your company, like trust you or what have you. That's called goodwill. They got good feelings for you. It's like, oh yeah, he all right, she all right, they all right. I've been knowing them for years, That's my man, that's my girl, that's my homie. whatever, what have you. That's my company, what have you. And this could be an attempt by using UMG's name continuously to take away some of that goodwill. So UMG did so because it understood that the recording's inflammatory and shocking allegations were a gold mine. I think that's true. I think that's entirely true. They did, and they're like, we're about to keep this going. But I'm going to go a few lines before I get my next comment. Spreading the defamatory material served multiple business purposes for UMG. First, the more people who listened to, streamed, watched, and downloaded the defamatory material, the more money UMG and its executives would make. Second, UMG's Interscope Records, Interscope, owns Lamar's entire back catalog of recorded music. The leadership of Interscope had every incentive to prove it could maximize Lamar's sales after only recently persuading him to enter into his own direct license for a limited recording commitment of new music. Okay, I gotta break these down. First, the more people who listen, stream, download the defamatory material, the more money executives would make. I think that's true. Second, UMG. That second one is leadership. Every instance proved could maximize sales after only recently persuading him. Okay, the fact that they say Interscope needed to prove it could maximize Lamar's sales after only recently persuading him to enter into his own direct license. I don't think Kendrick needed persuading. I don't think Interscope had to prove shit. I think that one is a bit of a stretch. The first one, yes. And the first one's enough. I probably, unless there is some information to that, to substantiate that, I probably wouldn't have left that one out because it's weak and I want my complaint to be strong and pinpoint. Yeah, let's see. Third, now I will say this. I love some threes. I do like a 1, 2, and a 3. You got to have a 1 and 2. You got a 1, you got to have a 2. But that being said, third, in contrast with Lamar's first direct deal, UMG's contract with Drake was nearing fulfillment, and on information and belief, one of my favorite phrases, UMG anticipated that extending Drake's contract would be costly. By devaluing Drake's music and brand, UMG would gain leverage to force Drake to sign a deal on terms more favorable to UMG. Now, you got to put this there. I feel Drake, the attorneys, MMA, you got to put this there, but it's weak. And here's why it's weak. If I'm devaluing Drake so I can get better terms with him in a way that I believe will lead to his permanent demise, right? Stay with me. Why would I want him afterward? Do I have a belief that I will be able to build him back up? Let me see. I need to see if this next line says what I think it should say. Hold up. You got 81 pages on the screen. It showed, okay, I got stuck. Okay, they don't say this. I know what I would have added is something to the effect where I said, well, I'll put it like this. I would have added something to the effect that they believe that they would devalue him, get him at a discount, and get him. Oh, hold on. Let me. I gotta look at this again because what I'm getting at is because maybe they said that. It's so much going on here. It's so much going on here because they would have to believe that they could get him at a discount and he still would have a viable career. If they believe that he would still have a viable career, then what is this complaint about? Because you're also kind of in a way saying that they were trying to destroy him by calling him a pedophile. That's a tough one. Yeah, back to it. Now, by devaluing Drake's music and brand, UMG would gain leverage to force Drake to sign a new deal on terms more favorable to UMG. Yeah. I would put that there. It's not a bad move. There's a way to make it more perfect. I think they did the best that they could, and you can prove this later if you get to trial. The argument on the other side is. If we're devaluing him to the extent that you say that we are, he would be no good to us. So that makes no sense. It could be they just mad at him. Yeah. Now that, if there's some evidence of that, I might put that in there if there's some evidence of that, but that's okay. UMG campaign was successful. The recording cloaks cleverly dangerous lyrics behind a catchy beat and inviting hook. I probably wouldn't have called it the recording. I would have called it the defamatory recording, but that's fine that they didn't, but I want to keep reinforcing the defamatory nature. Capitalizing on those attributes, UMG used every tool at its disposal to ensure the world would hear that Drake like 'em young. Well, the problem with this is, and even that phrase is Drake said, I believe Drake said that in the song that used the Tupac AI. Because I believe that Drake said that he did make that song. And I think he said, talk about how you like 'em young, right? And so that's a tough one. Because if you make a diss record and you tell somebody to talk about something, it's difficult to use that as ammunition against the record company to say they did something wrong by promoting the thing that you told somebody to do. That's just me. I probably wouldn't have put that in there. Yeah. It's not adding to it, and it's weakening my argument, and it's distracting us from the thing that I want to talk about, which is them calling him a pedophile. I probably would have stuck just with that, but the defamatory material has played billions of times, and its false central message has gone viral via social and legacy media channels in dozens of languages. That's real talk. Because I know people all around the world who heard that song. If they didn't hear it, I blame it because I was like, it was slap. At minimum, hundreds of millions of people spanning the globe. It's not just fans of rap music who now believe that Drake is a certified pedophile. I don't know if they believe it, they heard it, but I don't know if they believe it. It's just using it. If I'm Kendrick, I'm probably dying laughing reading this shit. That part right there, who now believe that Drake is a certified pedophile. Damn, this song went hard. Mustard on the beat. The recording has become ubiquitous. So I need to refresh my memory on that term. Ubiquitous. If I had to guess, ubiquitous. I know that term. I know what it means. It's become ubiquitous. Commonplace is what I would say. Big. Well known. I would say well known means present, appearing, and found everywhere. Commonplace. Okay. I will go. Very common or widespread. I know what ubiquitous means. It has. The recording has become ubiquitous. Commonplace. Now, that could I could spin that. If you're saying that something is ubiquitous, and I would say, assuming that the facts are the way you alleged them on when I filed my motion to dismiss this, and that's the standard. Assuming everything is true, you don't have a claim. If you're saying that it's ubiquitous, I might throw in, that's one of the reasons why it's not believed. It's everywhere. He hasn't been prosecuted. He hasn't been charged. He hasn't been prosecuted. He hasn't been questioned about pedophilia. No one really believed it. And I would use that as, if I didn't have anything else, I would probably use that as part of, in my answer to this complaint, or which would be my motion. Because the first thing that you would do, if I'm UMG, I wouldn't even answer. Like, they put something out in the press, and I'm not, and they put out a statement, and Drake's claim is subject to something that we call litigation privilege, where you can get here, you can pretty much say anything and not be sued for defamation. You can be sued for malicious prosecution, but not defamation. Because you can't defame. You got a privilege to be able to speak. Don't go out there and do that. I'm just saying, and none of this is legal advice. This is analysis. Y'all not my client. Y'all ain't paid me. That's rule one. Get paid. I have not. So that being said, billions of times, it's ubiquitous. And UMG put out a statement. A statement that you put out is not subject to litigation privilege. So UMG, if they said that he's lying. And I believe Trump got sued for that, saying somebody was lying. I could be wrong, but I believe he got sued for defaming someone who accused him of some type of inappropriate, it could have been sexual assault. I can't remember. So much for that dude. I can't remember, but I think he got sued successfully I think she sued him successfully for defaming her by saying she was lying. They have said that he was lying. I believe that they said that he was lying in their statement. I don't feel like pulling this statement. I don't feel like it, but I will. Let's see. It was UMG's statement in response to Drake. In response to Drake's defamation, not like us, UMG issued a statement saying the lawsuit is illogical and lacks merit. That emphasized significant investment in Drake's career. Give me the full statement. Okay. Universal Music Group has issued a statement in response to Drake's defamation suit concerning Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us. UMG strongly denies the allegations, labeling the lawsuit as logical. Where is the statement? Lord, gotta find the statement. UMG's statements to Drake. And here we go. Everybody wants to summarize everything for you. I don't need y'all to summarize. I summarize. You just give me what I asked for. I don't need that. I am the summary. I am the curator. Well, here we go. Wait. Continue to the article. Okay. I will say this. This is not bad curation. At least it goes to my point. UMG allegedly said, we have not and do not engage in defamation against any individual. Now, I can interpret that, if I'm Drake, as you saying that I'm lying. Right? So I can say you're defaming me in that statement. At the same time, we will vigorously defend this litigation to protect our people, our reputation, as well as any artist who might directly or indirectly become a frivolous litigation target for having done nothing more than write a song. Now, I might actually throw that in to say you're defaming me there, saying I'm engaged in frivolous litigation. Yeah, anything where you say that I'm not telling the truth or that I'm lying and it's not protected by litigation privilege, I'm about to tell my lawyers, put that in the suit. Well, or lawyers should at least examine it as more evidence more evidence and basis for additional defamation claims. All right, so let's get back to this. UMG used its promotional resources and exclusive licensing rights to place the recording on numerous national televised events, including but not limited to award shows, national political events, and more. I did hear it during the campaign a lot, but billions of plays and ubiquity were not enough for UMG. Oh, I like that. That's a very good line. That's a good line right there. Now, I don't like to start paragraphs with conjunctions. I would have taken that and put that at the top because you can get the same power from a statement being at the beginning of a paragraph as you can the end. So over the course of the last several months, UMG has made significant financial investments and leveraged its professional connections via sophisticated, highly organized publicity campaigns to arrange for the recording to be performed at one of the most significant and viewed cultural events of the year, the Super Bowl. Now, to be fair, and I've heard a number of people correctly identify, including everybody on Joe Budden podcast, correctly identify that part of the motivation of this suit could just be, I don't want this performed at the Super Bowl because then everybody's going to be seeing it. Now, I'm going to switch for a second. If I'm Kendrick Lamar's attorney, I would advise him to say, fuck Drake and perform it. Say pedophile, say A minor. Fuck it. It's out here now. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. This is just one other place. Everybody, technically, the way this is described in this complaint, everybody don't already heard it. So what fucking difference does it make us do it at the Super Bowl? Plus, it's going to be a moment, and it's worth it. So if I'm Kendrick, I'm doing the song. Period. So this would not stop me from doing the song. Now, I think Drake wants out of the UMG deal. I think this is a way for him to try to gain some leverage to get out of the UMG deal. Would I have advised him to do this? Notice I'm having conversations and questions, interview with myself about this. Would I have advised him to do it? It depends. If he wants to get out of the deal and they have basically, said, fuck you, we're not letting you out. Hell yeah. You got to go. And I know people are like, yeah, but no, fuck that. Do it. Because if you, okay. So I remember years ago, and I'm going to do a number of cases like this and break down the complaints or what have you. I remember years ago, immediately after Chris Brown and Rihanna and the pictures came out of what, and I'm using the term alleged, I'm an attorney, that's what we do, what Chris Brown had allegedly done in beating her, right? And I remember I went to dinner. Now this, I won't say who I was at dinner with. I'm sure they wouldn't care, but they were, pretty high up in Hollywood circles or what have you. But just because you're there doesn't mean that you understand all of the nuances of business. And I'll never forget this one person who had been doing this longer than me, but not as an entertainment attorney, as a personality. It's like, oh, it's over for Chris Brown. I was like, no, it's not. And they looked at me and I was like, what you mean? You saw the pictures? Well, I saw the pictures. I was like, yeah, that's fucked up. That's all the picture, but it's not over. I was like, and they was like, why not? I was like, as long as he can do the thing that people loved him for in the first place, he's going to be fine as far as his career goes. Can't speak to everything else, but as far as his career goes, as long as he can keep making good music, that's what they want him for. And we see what happened. When it comes to Drake and this and the lawsuit, and I bring that up because when it comes to this lawsuit, I'm like, Drake, he can't sue Kendrick. That's the only line he can't cross. But doing this, he can do this. And if Drake comes with the music, they won't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, he's an entertainer. They want him to entertain them. And now, as a result of all of the, love that you get from people when you're entertaining them, you can get that, all that, is it adulation that it almost seems like worship. And there are a group of people who will, worship at the altar of celebrity. But at the end of the day, for real, they just want you to entertain them. That's it. And if you can do that, they with you. You got the slaps, they with you. Who, y'all know what I'm about to bring up? R. Kelly. During the time that R. Kelly, after, peeing on that, I saw the tape. After peeing on the tape, I know he alleges it's not him. I don't know if he still alleges it. I'm like, nigga, that's you. So, after that, now I disagree. I say it was R. Kelly. R. Kelly said it wasn't him. I say it was R. Kelly. R. Kelly, I stopped listening to R. Kelly. Everybody, not everybody, but most people kept listening. I was like, I can't fuck with this dude. Everybody kept listening. And R. Kelly kept making some of the best music of his career. In theory, it wasn't until he no longer was doing that people say, okay, we gotta lock this nigga up. Now, I still do not understand why Lady Gaga made that song, Do What You Want with My Body, with R. Kelly, after all of those allegations. All the celebrities who made songs with him, I can't remember if Mary J. Blige made a song with R. Kelly after all that shit. I don't know how they did it. I don't. And I don't know if they've admitted it as a mistake now or what have you, but come on, I'm not doing that. And did Jay-Z? I think Jay-Z made a whole nother album with the nigga after that. Think so. Yeah, I think so. I couldn't do it. No. But anyway, as long as you can do the thing, and if Drake got some heat, he'll be fine after this. Yeah, he'll be fine after this lawsuit. I say as long as he don't sue Kendrick. And depending on the heat, he might be depending on how hot it is. So, UMG is legally responsible for the release, publication, and promotion of the defamatory material, including the foreseeable consequences of the same. UMG's business is to possess the exclusive rights to reproduce, distribute, and license music, including over the internet. In other words, it is only with UMG's explicit approval that the defamatory material could have been released in the first instance and later streamed, shared, and performed publicly and exploited by content creators on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It doesn't say that. It only says TikTok and Instagram. So it's like Drake don't really give a shit about Snapchat and all of them. Now, that's a mistake there. You should have put all of them, every one of them, because you want to make it seem like it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, if that's what you want to say. Then put them all. TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. They don't even have Google Meet no more. Shit, MySpace. Make it seem like it's everything. Amazon Prime. Oh no, wait. TV Land. Anything you can come up with. I will put Foursquare, whatever the hell you, Friendster, all of them. UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company playbook. Indeed. So I gotta read. Wait, see what this is. I gotta read this sentence because it might be awkward. It might be genius. I gotta figure it out. UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company's playbook. Indeed, UMG has unleashed every weapon in its arsenal, including on information and belief. Yeah, certain practices that are unlawful. Okay, that's a bad sentence. Yeah, that should have been broken up. It should have said UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company playbook. Period. Playbook. Playbook. Period. Indeed, UMG had. Okay, this is an opportunity missed, because it should say. I'm going to tell you what it should say. It should say UMG's campaign went well beyond the traditional music company playbook, period. Indeed, if that's the term that you use, fine. And now this is where I change it. UMG has and continues to unleash every weapon in its arsenal, including upon, not on, upon information and belief, certain practices that are unlawful. Yeah, though that's how that should read. This part right here. Up until now, I've loved a lot of this. That particular sentence is shitty. That's bad writing. That should not be there. And the reason that I'm just being honest, it shouldn't. It should have been broken up. And a lot of times when people write things, whether you're writing, as I said, disposable prose, or you're writing something that is fiction, don't get me wrong, because I know the editor of my books is like, bruh, you be using some long sentences. I do, but I use them because they be good. If you can't make it poetic, if you can't make it flow, if you can't make it like, use shorter sentences, especially in regards to something as important as this. It shouldn't be that way. Yeah, that it's just awkward. And it has, I forget what they call it, has a long ass dash after playbook. Somebody thinks that's fly and that was not fly. I don't know who at MMA did that, but no, that shit was whack right there. So moving on. In a memorandum to staff reflecting on the highlights of 2021, Sir Lucian Grange remarked that it was harder than ever for artists to break through the noise. As for example, 60,000 songs are added to Spotify every day. UMG made sure that Not Like Us broke through that noise. That's great. For one, UMG took the unprecedented step, contrary to its internal practices, to remove the recording's copyright restrictions on YouTube and Twitch, thereby whitelisting the recording to ensure content creators would republish it broadly. Now, I am curious if they, let me see, I'm going to finish the paragraph and then I hope I remember to come back to this. I hate that. On information, upon sounds more poetic. Upon information and belief. I would say based on information belief, because I have said that. And maybe it's not even a pun. I think that's what it is. I say based on information and not on information. Let me check that before I criticize that portion of it. Is it upon information and belief. It could be both, or on information and belief. Come on now, give it to me. Restart. Is it on information and belief, or on information and belief? What you got for me, Chad? It is on, and I say based on. Okay. And they say upon information and belief is sometimes used, but on information and belief is correct. I don't like it. They said older legal documents, they use upon, but on is the modern standard. Fuck that modern standard. I like to have a bit of je ne sais quoi when it comes to my complaint. But I would say based on. But that's a small thing. I'm not criticizing MMA for that. If I did, I shouldn't. That one, I still say break that shit up, right? Still say break it up. And I would put based on information and belief in the part that I was talking about, paragraph 13. But I'm not going to shit on them too hard for that. So, and I'm never saying on information and belief. Something about it, it bothers me. I feel physically weird when it happens. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, on information and belief, UMG and its agents further put a thumb on the scale by covertly offering financial incentives to third parties to deceptively stream the recording on streaming platforms, to play the recording. Whoa. Third parties deceptively stream. Are we talking about Payola? Is that what we're talking about right there? Because now Payola is federal crime. Because now we're talking about a crime. And let me check this. Is using bots, because he didn't say bots, but let's say bots, or third parties, is paying bots and third parties to stream Payola. Yes, paying bots and third parties to artificially stream music can be considered a form of Payola, but it depends on context and intent. It is illegal in the U.S. under the FCA if done without proper disclosure. That's something to be looked at. It's something to be looked at, because there's a guy, I think he's out of North Carolina, who was arrested for using bots to play their AI music. That dude is sitting in jail because he used AI bots. He created music with AI, then used bots to play the music. Michael Smith, 52-year-old musician from Cornelius, North Carolina, was arrested and charged. I think that's fucked up, because if Universal's doing the same thing, right, and Spotify is letting that shit ride, why can't Michael do it? And I'm like, well, they gave permission, it's their platform, it's fraud. No, wait. This is Payola. So if we prosecute, we prosecute. We shouldn't be selectively prosecute. And that was one thing when it came to the Drake lawsuit, even when he just did that petition, that was like, wait, hold up. This is important for another reason, because I'm pretty sure this dude is not, he might be out on bail. I don't know. Charge of wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering conspiracies. He collected over $10 million in royalty payments from these streams, billions of times his music was streamed. Yeah, I think that's fucked up. Yeah, I do. And I think this is a very important overlooked part of Drake's lawsuit, especially in regards to the dude that's sitting in jail right now. Okay, so let's get back to this. On information, UMG and its agents further put the thumb on the scale by covertly offering financial incentives to third parties to deceptively stream the recording on streaming platforms, to play the recording on the radio, and to otherwise promote and endorse the defamatory material, all without ever publicly disclosing the payment. That's an important part, as you saw, because we just read what Payola is. These actions not only spread and further ingrain the defamatory statements in the minds of the public, but deceive consumers and harm Drake economically. That's a class action lawsuit waiting to happen, right there. And the class is everybody who heard the song, who everybody and thought like this is a natural occurrence or whatever. Now, whether or not a class action firm is going to take this on, whether or not they be successful is a That's a whole nother thing. I'm just saying, when I read this, my little legal spidey antennas go up, and I'm like, oh shit, class action, class action. Predictably, millions of people who listened to the recording or saw the image and video believed the defamatory material to be true. UMG had previously published Lamar's song Euphoria, which was also widely understood to be targeted at Drake, and which stated, "Don't tell no lie about me and I won't tell no truths about you." As voluminous public commentary confirms, the average listener or viewer has understood the defamatory material to reflect the truth rather than art or hyperbole. I agree. I agree. That's not untrue. I think the a reasonable person might believe that though he's not been charged, though he's not been convicted, though he has not been seen on tape with someone who is underage, that Drake is a pedophile as a result. But I don't know if it's as a result of that song, but it's a risk. If they didn't know, now they know. But it's not because of that line per se. I think it may have, to some extent, it may not have shit to do with Drake. It could be just because Drake is a celebrity and we think celebrities be into other types of shit and he just ain't been caught yet. It could be just that simple, you know? So, yes. Okay. In the words of one commentator, now everybody believes Drake loves touching children. I'm not reading the footnotes. 15. UMG's greed yielded real-world consequences. As described above, it was just 3 days after UMG originally published the recording and image that Drake was targeted at his Toronto house by armed intruders in 2024 equivalent of Pizzagate. I ain't even get there. Y'all see what I'm saying? I did not even get there. That's the thing I was talking about earlier. That's what it reminded me of. The online response was similarly violent and hateful. An avalanche of online hate speech has branded Drake as a sex offender and a pedophile, among other epithets. Public commentary has repeated the false claims that Drake is a pedo. There's this show called Peep Show. It's out of Britain. They said pedo. It was so funny. It was comedy. This reminds me of that. Anyway, back to this. Sex abuser on the level of Weinstein, Diddy, and Epstein. I didn't expect to speak idiot. Wait, did somebody wait? Oh, sex abuser. Okay, that's it. I was like, did he get accused of being a pedophile? Wait, Drake is a pedo and sex abuse. Yeah, if it wasn't for the litigation purpose, I might say Diddy might have faced. I don't know. That's fun. I don't know if Diddy's. I don't know. Anyway, Epstein, who trafficked children in shipping containers and harbored convicted sex offenders in his Toronto home. In direct response to UMG's publications, social media users called for the FBI, that's the Federal Bureau of Investigations, to come at this point, and for Drake to be locked up and behind bars. Oh, God. Yeah, that's good right there. That's good right there, MMA. That's good. I like that whole paragraph. Paragraph 15 that's nice right there. That's some good writing. That's good right there. The avalanche of hate speech has spread Drake as a thing there. Well, yeah. Okay, all right, okay. The mob-like response, to the recording continues to unfold on and offline. And there's a dash after on. I hate that. Why is that there? Anyway, because and the reason I say this, you might have somebody who's a stickler who looks at this shit and they're like, what? I want everything clean. I don't like that. It should just be on and offline. I don't need a dash on the on. Recently, flyers were plastered all over Toronto with a photo of Drake and a Canadian YouTuber who was sentenced to 3 years in prison for sexual assault with the words, "Canadian sex predators gotta stick together." Okay. I believe in this, where there was once a case where someone's house burned down in Detroit and the fire hydrant wasn't working, it was broken, it was empty, and they had been calling to have it repaired. And they got in contact with my mom. My mom kind of contacted me. It's like, can you do something? I was like, city got governmental immunity. It's going to be difficult to get around that. And so my mom was like, well, just give them a try. I was like, all right. Well, I tell you, there are like some times in my legal career where I'm like, you can define your greatness in some things when you win the ones you're not supposed to win. That's how you know how good you are. It was after that I was like, I'm the best in the world. Period. Hands down. Best in the world. If I feel like doing it. Depending if you paying. Because a lot of law or winning or losing, a lot of it comes down, depending on the case, can come down to how much time you can dedicate to it. Sometimes you got the facts, sometimes you don't have the facts. When you don't got the facts, that's when it can come down to your litigation skills. And so what happened in this case, we shouldn't even got past summary judgment. And summary judgment is basically like I told you early on when they say, look, even if the facts are as you allege them, you don't have a case, and they submit a motion and the judge rules on it. It don't even get to a truth. In this case, city shows up. He was a good attorney. He wasn't as good as me. And I won my motion, the motion to continue the case, and my client was there. And I told the client beforehand, I was like, this case is probably going to get dismissed. I'm about to do my best. And I won that shit. The judge denied the city's motion, even though they asserted governmental immunity. And let me tell you what I did. And it's something that MMA did in this complaint where I'm like, that ain't bad. When they took this picture of Drake with this sex offender stuff that people are hanging up and put it in, it brings a real world feel. I took articles and I wasn't trained to do that. I took articles and put it in showing like how the city had a problem with fire hydrants at that point and that nothing was being done, and appealed to that judge's sentence. Now, my client, I told her this is probably going to get reversed on appeal, and it did because you couldn't get around it. But she was so happy in the courtroom to just be vindicated in a way to say, what happened to me was wrong, and they fucked up. And I think if memory serves me correct, she holds on to that ruling to this day because she's like, yeah, I went at them and I let them know, yeah, that you not just go fuck me over, that it was some consequences and I won. So I think this is a very good move on their part to add this to it. In the court, now I'm going to get to the court of public opinion because this is a legal contest. Well, I'm going to get to court of public opinion. That ain't Kendrick's fault. Kendrick ain't do that shit. UMG ain't do that shit. Somebody put this shit together. What the fuck? Now, back to where I was. Okay. With the palpable? Seems like that's not spell. Oh, palpable. It's like, with the palpable physical threat to Drake's safety in the bombardment of online harassment, Drake fears harassment. Drake fears for the safety and security of himself, his family, and friends. Oh, Drake fears. Okay. He fears. After the attacks on his home, Drake pulled his son out of the elementary school he attended in Toronto due to safety concerns, and one school ended for the summer. Drake arranged for his son and mother to leave Toronto entirely. Day to day, Drake continues to take steps to address persistent threats to his security. The violence, now that is likely that's likely there to talk about, to bolster the damages claim, maybe, or the seriousness of the consequences of the defamation. Because, yeah, or to the extent, or to substantiate the extent to which this has been believed, is what I would guess. The violence and vitriol directed at Drake was foreseeable. The recording falsely accuses Drake of one of the most vile behaviors imaginable and explicitly calls for retaliatory violence and retribution against him. The false pedophile accusation is a devastating, effective method of assassinating someone's character online. When spread virally, the accusation can destroy an individual's reputation and brand in a matter of days. As one expert on conspiracy theories has explained, there's always been a certain amount of salaciousness in these conspiracy theories. And if it involves children, people immediately just lose their mind, even if these children don't exist. If you just put out the suggestion there, it grabs a hold in a way that is difficult to dislodge. That's true, but that particular paragraph is going to be difficult to use to substantiate Drake's claim, because he invited, or at least told, Kendrick to talk about how he like him young. Now, of course, you can say, I ain't tell him to call me a pedophile. You told him to talk about it. When you say like him young, I would think that it is, what's a word for it? I think you I don't think you're talking about, what did we think Drake meant by that? Assuming he made that song. Because I can't remember if he made it or not, or admitted making it. But assuming that he did, what was he saying? That he likes them young but legal? Well, you ain't specify. And oftentimes in law, we construe the ambiguity against the drafter. So if I don't know if that applies to the speaker. It probably does. But so if you speak the shit, you said it. If you didn't want him to say that, you should have told him, I like him, talk about how you like him young but legal, I guess. But that's not what was said. So I would probably use that if he said it. I guarantee you when that response comes out, the answer to this complaint is going to say, he is not going to say this, but in my mind, it says, that nigga said, see, this is why you need a black attorney. Because I'm not going to file something that says that. But technically, court of public opinion, I can say, that nigga said, so I'm about to offend the kid. You got to say, look here, that nigga said, talk about how you like him young. He talked about how he liked him young, not Kendrick Rowe. That's a bullshit. All right, get back to the complaint. UMG understands just how dangerous these types of false allegations are. Indeed, when it comes to allegations against UMG and its executives, they have not hesitated to take legal action against their accusers. Just last year, UMG and Sir Grange were accused, in their words, without the slightest factual basis, of aiding and abetting Sean Diddy Combs in criminal sexual acts. If Drake had evidence outside of this Diddy shit, I thought when this was about to go, it was like, hey, these UMG, I thought he was about to allege that these UMG execs be on some shit, but that's not what happened. Continue. It didn't go there. But moving to dismiss the complaint against them, UMG and Sir Grange, I hope I'm saying this man's name right, because they tend to call him Lucian, which name is Lucian like Lucifer? Is that like the basis for that name? I don't know. Let me see that. Hold up. Is Lucian the name like Lucifer? Because I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, well, yes. It says somewhat similar to Lucifer, but they have different origins. Okay. Lucian is French. It means light and illumination. Lucifer is known as the light bringer or morning star. But they say it has no connection to Lucifer. It's derived from Lucius. But it's interesting that they're both names are, light bringer. I was like, there's a similarity here. Anyway, moving to dismiss the complaint against them, UMG and Sir Grange argue that the accusations were offensively false allegations of criminal behavior that would be libelous per se. So when I get into the complaint, and I have not read this, I'm reading this on the fly. See that per se part? Watch this. If not contained within a legal filing. So now we're talking about that litigation privilege that I talked about. where you can file some shit and say some shit, and you're not going to be, prosecutable as under defamation and libel law because of it, if it's in the legal filing. That said, don't just go saying a bunch of wild ass shit because you're like, yeah, I'm filing this complaint. I can call you. No, you can't. Sir Grange called the allegations against him knowingly and maliciously false and defamatory. Sir Grange also explained that a single lie can destroy a reputation of integrity, while it takes years to build a reputation. It can be ruined in 5 minutes. Thus, recognizing the false allegations against him might interfere with his efforts to lead an honorable personal and professional life. Sir Grange promised to pursue those who have made outrageous allegations against him. Okay, that's something that I had not heard everybody talking about. Where it's like, that's very good. And that's interesting. Where it's like, Drake's like, look, I'm just doing the same thing that you was doing. I'm trying to protect my reputation. My honorable persona, personal and professional life. Yeah, okay, I get that. In stark contrast, when Drake confronted UMG about his role in promoting allegations of sexual misconduct, lacking the slightest factual basis against him, UMG refused to do anything to help. Ooh, I wish I could have been there for that conversation. I bet you that was a spicy one. Instead, and it depends on if Drake flashed on him. Like, you motherfuckers, Lucien, this some bullshit. But it's a rap battle. Fuck is Lucien gonna get involved with this rap battle for? Now, somebody did get shot. That's different. That is different. Somebody did get shot. Instead, UMG continued to republish and promote the defamatory material, even after Drake had unequivocally denied the allegations in public and had communicated that in private to UMG. I don't know if that's a reason for them to stop, but okay. It was like, I'm not a pedophile. I don't think UMG promoted it because they thought Drake was a pedophile. I think they promoted it because they're in the business of putting out records. Now, according to this complaint, they promoted it because they wanted to drive down his value so they can get him at a discount. And they know he got the slaps and they want to build him back. I think that's the crux of the complaint. Drake informed UMG of the tangible harm and that the publication and promotion of the recording had caused him, including violence and threats and reputational and financial damages and more. Yet, I never really liked ands and ands, but it's no way to do this. Yeah, it is. They should have said including violence, threats, reputational. Oh, no, they had to. It's a financial damage. No. Sometimes it's best to repeat something again for force rather than do the and. So I would have said threats, reputational damage, financial damage, and more. And left out that and because I want to repeat damage as much as I possibly can, as well as defamatory statements. So, like the defamatory material that I mentioned earlier, I want to repeat that. So I would want to repeat reputational damage, financial damage, whatever. If I can find another one, I might throw that motherfucker in there. So, yeah, UMG still chose money over the safety and well-being of his artists, notwithstanding his public commitment to behave honorably and with honesty and setting the right tone in all that we do. That's neither here nor there. That is fine to keep it in. It's great to put it in, but it doesn't have any real legal consequence. Yeah, because that's not a contract between them and Drake. They maybe use that to show some type of bias or something, but they put out the shit that Drake said about Kendrick. So okay, that's cool. Many months prior to filing this litigation, Drake intended to address these claims privately with UMG. Drake believed, per Sir Grange, that UMG's leadership should be held accountable for the decisions we make and how we conduct ourselves. And UMG purports to care about threatening and abusive behavior indeed. UMG's code of conduct. Okay, now we're getting into some shit. Because, is Drake, Because, okay, when it comes entertainment, I always say entertainment is employment law with better looking clients. That's all it is. When it comes to employment law, and this is something that applies to everyone, even if you're working, you don't have an employment contract, right? You might be like, oh, they can fire me, they can do whatever. You need to read your handbook and code of conduct because those are contracts. And if it says like, you may not have a contract, right? But if it says in your employee handbook, like you must be discharged with due cause, or you can't be discharged for reporting safety violations or harassment or something like that, and they do it, then that's your employment contract outside of the shit being illegal, but that's your employment contract. With this UMG code of conduct, that's interesting because Drake as an artist, I don't know his status as an employee, and I don't know if he's subject to the code of conduct. And the reason that I say this, he may not have to be either for them to have violated their code of conduct, that he accepted that as part of his contract, that they would abide by this and they breached the contract. There are a number of claims. I could probably go on to that just an hour. It is interesting, though, that they do bring in the code of conduct. That is a very important piece to this. I'm not going to say important, a very interesting piece to this litigation. And I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. If this goes to trial, there are a number of areas of law that this could impact, gray areas that this could shine, give us some guidance on. This is interesting, though. That part is interesting. And I'm particularly, interested in it because I do labor and employment and all that shit. So I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. UMG's Code of Conduct notes that harassment can take different forms, such as speech that is threatening or abusive, and declares that violence, threats, and physical intimidation are not tolerated at Universal Music Group. Okay. Now, when it comes to records, that's going to be bullshit because there's plenty of niggas killing niggas, threatening niggas. Because typically, that's what they're doing on the records. They're not just, threatening people outside the community on the record. Some are, but that being said, that's let me get back to it. That will not be tolerated using Universal Music Group. It is tolerated. So there we are. Because we all share responsibility to make health and safety a constant priority. Yet, in response to Drake's concerns, UMG responded that Drake would face humiliation if he brought legal action. That's just true. It is. Because there are parts of this that he may not find it that way, but there are parts of this that are damn sure humiliating as fuck. Whereas, presuming that the public will be unable to understand UMG's role in exploiting and profiting from this dispute. That's bullshit. We understand quite well a record company saying, man, fuck that. We're about to stay out of this. We're going to let these niggas fight, and we're about to make these fun. We will make this coin. We're going to make this paper. We're going to make this fetty, this greenback, this scratch, this cheddar, these ducats. That's what they say. We understand that shit quite well. So, if it was Lucian, is it Lucian? If he told him that, nah, we understand. Wait. Oh, wait. There's a lie here. UMG's posture as the world's largest music company was that it is untouchable. UMG's response to Drake was especially perverse, given that it is perfectly willing to sue to protect its own interests when it believes that doing so will protect its property. That's true. That's true. And now we're just talking about the advice. There, in this part of the complaint, what I gather from this is that Drake and MMA are saying, hey, you sued when somebody was coming after you. You telling our client, Drake, you telling me, don't sue, I'll be humiliated. Motherfucker, you weren't humiliated when you sued when somebody, or how to say this? Yeah. When you sue to protect your interests, so why can't I protect mine? Now, I don't know if that also could mean that, because I think it would be difficult for UMG to say, well, maybe they were only talking about them. Maybe they were talking about if you sue Kendrick. You can sue us, don't sue Kendrick. I doubt they say that shit. But I don't know. Because I'm wondering if this is an indicator that at some point Kendrick was on the table and it's like, you sue Kendrick, it's going to humiliate you. I don't know. UMG's response to Drake was especially perverse, given okay, we already read that. Oh, wait. I got to go back. Yeah, sentence. I'm sorry. I got to hit him. So UMG's response to Drake was especially perverse, given that it is perfectly willing to sue to protect its own interests when it believes that doing so will protect its property. UMG is engaged in the business of acquiring administering, licensing, exploiting, and otherwise monetizing the music of its artists, including Drake. And it does not hesitate to file lawsuits when doing so suits its financial interests. This lawsuit is both necessary and appropriate because UMG has repeatedly defamed Drake while exploiting and monetizing his work. I gotta say that's true. I'm not saying it's UMG's fault, but I'm saying that that is true. With his own record label having waged a campaign against him and refusing to address this as a business matter, Drake has been left with no choice but to seek legal redress against UMG. UMG may spin this complaint as a rap beef gone legal. Now, that's some white people shit, because that's corny. A rap beef gone legal. We wouldn't say that. Yeah, but this lawsuit is not about a war of words between artists. This lawsuit involves no claims against Kendrick Lamar. Why don't y'all call him K-Dot? Or any other artist. Instead, it is all, I'm joking when I say that. It is all about UMG, the publisher, exclusive rights holder of Lamar's music, as well as Drake, and its malicious decision to publish, promote through covert means false allegations about Drake that UMG knew were false, explosive, inflammatory, and certain to result in both vitriol and substantial harm to Drake's reputation. Reading this, I hear like if Drake comes into my office with this, or hits me up, texts me, whatever, calls me wherever the hell I am in the world, it says, hey, I would probably think about a RICO with this because of the presence of the possible Payola allegations, or not allegations, because it's the presence of a possible Payola claim here. From what I read, I probably would have added the RICO here, because, and I don't know if it's here, and we're coming up towards the end of this, but I see there may be enough facts here for that, but I don't know if going after the RICO would make Drake would lead to humiliation or what have you, but it's fuck that. My thing is this: if you go do it, do it. You don't have to sue Kendrick, but if you're gonna sue Universal, I probably would have added the RICO. If it gets kicked, it gets kicked. It's no problem if it gets kicked, but I'm adding everything that I can add in here just in case we go to trial. Now you can always amend the complaint later, but I hear RICO. Honestly, notwithstanding a relationship spanning more than a decade, UMG intentionally sought to turn Drake into a pariah, a target for harassment or worse. UMG did so not because it believes any of these false allegations to be true, but instead because it would profit from damaging Drake's reputation. Drake thus brings this action to hold UMG responsible for the actual and foreseeable harm he has suffered and will continue to suffer because of UMG's choice to elevate profits over the well-being of its artists and music-consuming public. It's only two parties. Drake is a rapper, singer, songwriter, actor, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. Drake is a citizen of Texas. Didn't know that. Defendant UMG Recordings Incorporated is a wholly owned subsidiary of Universal Music Group. Together with UMG, Universal Music is a public company formed under the laws of the Netherlands. Okay, I'm going to stop because I don't want to get to the parties. I don't want to go there. We covered the caption and the introduction. I want to stop there. That's part one. We'll get to the parties and some of the allegations later. For the public opinion about this, it depends on what the motivation is. If the motivation is to stop the song from being performed at the Super Bowl and to get and call that a success or what have you, if he's able to accomplish it, all right. If it's to get off the label, I get it. If it's to stop the song being performed at the Super Bowl, whatever. This to me does seem like you got the artists and they want some shit done. They riffing, they upset, they on the phone, they yelling, and you just trying to do some shit. You just trying to give them something to hold on to show them that you're doing something or what have you, if that's the goal. if that's the goal. And a lot of times as attorneys, you talk to the artists and you tell them, look, you want to sue, we can sue. Other than that, it ain't shit else to do. And if these things happen, you can sue. These are the consequences. Some people will be mad or what have you, but we can get you off the label this way. Cool. I get it. Would I have advised him to do it? Like I said, depends on his goal. If he wants to get off the label, out this deal, he don't want to fuck with them no more, this is the way to go. Because they're not just going to let you go. They're not going to let you go and let you go with the money. They're not about to do all that. So this is what he might have to do to get off the label. And if he believes that there is something that's similar to Payola or some shit like that going on here, yeah, so go ahead. So y'all, that's what I have for now. I'm going to do a part 2 where we actually get into the allegations. Overall, if I had to rate the complaint, I give it about about 8.5 thus far. I'm going to reserve the rest till the end. Court of public opinion about this, like how people are gonna feel about him suing. It is going. UMG is not totally wrong. Most people that I have spoken with felt like this is some bullshit. Why would you do this? That's fucked up. You whack or what have you. But if you think that there's something at stake here that goes beyond the immediate opinion, because people will get over that, especially if you make good music or whatever, then sue. But court of public opinion right now, the way this shit stands, it's like, this is whack. That's how they feel. Now, me knowing what I know about this, I'm like, all right, this got some legs to it. But that's not in the court of public opinion. That's the actual legal court of public opinion. This is bullshit. All right, y'all. Be back with part 2 soon. Peace.